mic sounds nice. Check one.
Right.
My mic
Yep.
sounds nice. Check two.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Shoes Off Talk. Um, Floyd, how's your weekend so far?
Um, I'm a working weekend with regular folks have the normal weekends off, but yeah, other than that, it's cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I see how you low key hated on people that actually have weekends off, but it's okay. It's okay. We're not going to elaborate on that. Those of us that have the weekend off, well, self-employed people really don't have any days off. They take them off as needed. So, yeah. Anyway, uh, man, so much is going on in the world, man. And it's so important that we uh, keep our eyes glued and pay attention. There's a lot of things that is going on in the world that is trying to distract us from what's really important, um, and that's our loved ones and what our purpose is, what God has for us to do um, in this life.
Right.
Um, and there's like I said, so many distractions that pull us away and kind of um, make us make us fall away from what God has for us in the way of our purpose. And that's what we wanted to talk about today. Um, we all have a purpose, um, and it is my belief, and I'm sure that there's other people that share in this belief, but I know it's my belief that um, all of our lives are preordained. Uh, we have things that we have been destined to achieve, and things that we have been destined to obtain in our lifetime. And it is our responsibility to put ourselves in place to fulfill that purpose. Um, but sometimes we get distracted.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
as humans, it's normal.
Mhm.
Um, for whatever reason, we don't prioritize our lives. Um, we have so many things in our lives that we put even before ourselves.
Yep.
And so it's important that we stay focused on what our purpose is and always to be purpose driven. Um, the topic is simply about that. Is recognizing um, what is going to allow you and what is going to help you fulfill that purpose that God has for you. Um, and it was put on my heart because it's kind of it's kind of hard to differentiate when it comes to the type of people that you associate with. There's three types of people in the world. There's confidants, there's constituents, and there's comrades. And it's very important that you know the difference between the three, um, because there can be an underlying likeness between the three. And if you're not focused, or if you're focused on the wrong things, you can get them confused
Right.
and put them in the wrong place. And when it comes to fulfilling your purpose, it's very important that you understand the difference between the three. One of the three is going to play a significant role in helping you fulfill your purpose. Um, the other two are distractions, but they present themselves in a way to where you feel like you need them to fulfill your purpose, because they're going to present themselves in a way that most times is a, is appealing to you,
Mhm.
whether it be physical features, whether it be the conversation, um, or just the looking from the outside appearance of what it may portray itself to be.
Well, I mean, I I'm looking at the Comrades and the Constituents, and they both, like you say, they're similar, but at the same time, I would think the Comrades would be one of those ones that will help you get where you need to get to, where you need to get to, on to a point that it's going to benefit you, but then at the same time, they're still going to be who they are anyway.
Well, the noticeable difference between the three is we use the saying ride or die. And sometimes that could be misconstrued because the key question is what are you riding and dying for? You don't need martyrs in your life. You don't need martyrs that are just willing to throw themselves out there um, for yeah, yeah. You don't need martyrs in your life because martyrs they don't they don't they don't take in consideration um, the casualties, so to speak. It's more of to prove a point, um, and a lot of times it's at all cost. So the fallout from them being a martyr can sometimes be catastrophic, which means that you'll have innocent bystanders that'll get caught up in the blast. And so that's why, and let me, before I get ahead of myself, let me break down the difference. And since we're talking about comrades, comrades are those people that they don't care. It's not a matter of how they feel about you. It's more about you guys have a common enemy. I may not like the color of your skin. I may not like the way you move, but we have a common enemy. So it benefits me as your comrade to side with you to eliminate this enemy, even though the fallout could be after we eliminate this enemy, your comrade might have his eyes on you next.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what a comrade is. A comrade, hey, who is it? Let's do it. I don't like them either. And they will side with you to the extent of they will finish whatever that is that you all have a problem with or that you all don't like. Um, in other words, you guys have a common enemy. Constituents, we hear that term used a lot as it pertains to politics. Your constituents are we believe in what you believe in. We have a common goal. In the way of politics, we have policies and procedures that we both believe in. And typically with constituents, it doesn't matter to them who benefits on your behalf. It matters more who benefits on their behalf. And if by chance your people benefit, then cool. So we have a commonality in that to where we have like minded beliefs. Still understanding I might not like who you are as a person, but we're going to join forces because we need to somehow affect change, even though who I want to affect change may be different than who you want to affect change. It doesn't matter. We got a common goal. You need me, I need you. So that's what your constituents are. And so, and what's crazy is a lot of that, just talking about those two, they sound very similar. And like you said, most people would assume that, hey, you need them. You need a ride or die. You need somebody that's going to stand up and and believe in what you believe in. The problem with constituents they believe in what you believe in, but they don't believe in you.
Right.
That's the problem. Because if there was an opportunity for me to replace you as your constituent with somebody that I actually like,
Mm.
I would replace you in a minute, in a heartbeat. But because I've got to make do with you,
Mm-hmm.
even though I may have an underlying problem with you, we have a goal, something we're trying to accomplish. So we're cool for now
Until that goal is met.
until that goal is met. And that's where the commonality comes with comrades. It's all about a goal for them. And as long as you're aligned with the same goal, we're cool. But once that goal is met, you might have to look over your shoulder. So the final type of person, and these are the people that you really need in your life. And the reason why this topic was so big for me is I see so many people with with huge circles and
Mm.
an abundance of friends,
Right.
and they like to surround themselves with a bunch of people that they call friends. And a lot of times you'll you'll have people that'll get lost in the shuffle, which simply means that you'll have a bunch of comrades and constituents, and typically your confidants aren't the loud boastering ones. They have a tendency to fall back because they're looking out for you. And so it's easier for them to stand back away from the situation, away from the crowd. That way they can get a clear picture of what's going on. Because for them, their main concern is you. You'll have your comrades and your constituents. It's a party for them. And if you're not in the right frame of mind as that person that has these three people around them, you will get caught up in the shuffle of thinking that, hey, we're all cool. They like me. No, they don't like you. The one that likes you is the one that is out of the 50 people you're surrounded by, they're the only one confidant that you have.
See, but isn't it easy for some of us to get to a point that when you have hundreds and hundreds of people that you're around all the time, and it just seems like they're all just that one type. You have the comrade and you have the constituent, but when you say confidant, you would think that it's all in one.
Yeah, you would. And it has a way of presenting itself. And if you're not paying attention, which a lot of times we don't pay attention, we get caught up in our own personal lives and what's going on. And and especially if you're one of those people that you like having yes people around you. You like having people that agree with you around you. You like having people that won't tell you how it is around you. If you're that type, you probably are pushing your confidant away because a confidant is real. Not only are they your confidant, they're probably other people's confidant. And so for them, they're very mindful about who they're confidant, who they're being a confidant with. And so and that's why I always talk about circles because we don't realize how important circles are. Your circles are so important, like so important. Those are the people that are going to mold and direct your life in either direction, good or bad. And our lives and the direction of our lives are the sum of our choices. Everything we do in life is a choice. I don't care if it's relationships, business, whatever it is. Anything you've ever gone through, you have to take a level of blame for whatever the outcome was, good or bad. Because ultimately, nobody held a gun to your head. Nobody forced you to stay in that situation, stay in that business, or anything else. It was a conscious decision that you made. And a lot of times, all of the red flags present itself up front. A lot of times we feel like we can save people, save situations. And the crazier thing is we will look at that particular situation, whether it's a relationship or business, and we've watched them be in relationships and business with other people, knowing how they do business and how they are in relationships. And we will take that on and say, okay, I'm different. They won't do that to me.
Yeah.
And we're not talking one-offs, because with this has got to be an understanding, is that we're not saying that anybody's perfect. None of us are perfect. We've made mistakes. We're going to continue to make mistakes. It's what your mistakes look like. Are you intentionally hurting people? Are you intentionally having bad business dealings? Um, that is that is what you have to look at the totality of it. But ultimately, it still is a decision. If you're willing to take a chance on someone, you have to go into that situation eyes wide open. And so that's where your confidant comes in, and it's so important. Is your confidence sees things that you don't see, because it's hard to be in a situation and see what's going on around you.
Yep.
Because if I'm in a circle and I'm standing in a circle, I'm only going to see what I can see in my peripherals and what's in front of me.
Right.
I can't see what's behind me. But what your confident does, your confident is standing on the outside of the circle and they see every side.
So basically, we have to make sure that we have the right confidence.
It
Because
is.
because with anything else, even a confidant, by them knowing so much, depending on that confidant, can use that against
Well, that's not your confidant. That's not a confidant. Your confidant would never. And this is something important too, is that confidants are rare. You're not going to just fall into a confidant. It's not. And we can all think about it. We have confidence in our lives. If anything, we will mess up the
you.
relationship with a confidant for multiple reasons. Oh, I don't like you telling me what's bad about me. I don't like you pointing out my flaws. You know what I'm saying? You don't agree with me enough.
Okay.
And so because of those things, and that's just a couple of things, because of those things, we push our confidence away. But I'm telling you, if you are planning to fulfill your purpose and what God has for you, you need them confidants. It you cannot achieve what is meant for you without having a confidant. It's impossible. And so I say this all the time. We have to be constantly doing a inventory, or and giving accountability for the people that we have in our lives. And also we have to start being more cognizant of people that have access to us. That's the other thing, man, is like we give too many people access to us. And that's not saying go change your number and don't give it out. It's just that you don't have to pick up the phone every time everybody calls. Everybody that wants something doesn't have to be a yes. You train people by your conversations with people. If they know I can call you and every time I call you and ask for something, it's a yes, who's going to be the first person that they call when they need something? And a lot of times it's not them needing it. They'll start spreading the word. Hey, if you need this, I got a guy or I got a woman. They take care of me, and that's cool to an extent. It's cool to an extent that you don't use people,
Right.
and that's what it'll become if you're not cognizant of training people on how to handle you.
But then at some point in time, I mean, it does happen that we get to that point that we're steady like calling up the same type of people every single time, so that we get something done. Okay, because why? Because you you know that okay, if you call that person, then they're gonna do it. Okay, they're gonna keep doing it and keep doing it. You know, but the thing is that it's not because they're not busy or they're not doing anything else, but it's just that they get to a point that their minds get to a point like, why do they keep calling me? These people here, what about them over there? It's like, but then at the same time, it's like you don't want you don't want to get be that person that be like, okay, well, you need to go and check with them over there because I'm tired of you calling me.
There's a saying, and it's so powerful, and I heard this years ago, and I've actually posted it on my social media recently. It's it's it goes like this: stop being the go-to for people that you can't go to. I don't mind you calling me and asking me for stuff if I know in my heart that if I needed to do the same with you, I would have the same access to you.
Right.
I don't mind it. And I'm saying that because I've had to do that. I've had to be more cognizant of people that have access to me. And it low key sounds like you're being a jerk. Like, but people need to respect the one commodity that is invaluable. That once it's gone, you can never get it back, and that's your time. People don't respect people's time. They don't. They waste it all the time.
Because they don't look at it that way. They don't see it. They don't see that whole facet of time. Okay, they if you mention that to them, they be like, "Oh well, I just thought," but they don't see that whole thing time. They don't, that don't comprehend to them.
Well, typically the people that don't value time, other people's time, is because they don't value their own. It's kind of hard to hold a person to a standard that you don't even hold yourself to, and that's probably the biggest problem. Um, and also in reverse, we hold other people to a standard that I say this as well is like it's unfair of me to hold you to the same standard that I hold myself to.
Right.
It's unfair of me to do that because you don't know what I've been through to be at this point. And the standard I have that people typically set for themselves is based on their life experiences. And not everybody's life experience is the same. And people typically don't handle things the same way. How I may crash out on something, it may be water under the bridge for you. But because my past experience with that situation has been traumatic for me. And so now any similar situation that looked like that is going to cause me to crash out. You may not have had to deal with the circumstances of that particular situation. And if you had, maybe it's been a smooth situation. It's not the same for everybody. So I can expect you to react the same way that I would react. And that's super important when dealing with people is when you understand that I cannot put my expectations on you, we start allowing people to be individuals
Okay.
and you get an understanding. And that in itself allows you to respect people's time. Because if me and you we're having a conversation and you know that, you know what, I know Tim has had a traumatic experience with this. I'll figure it out. I ain't gonna bring it up to him because I know it's gonna stir up something that's gonna bring up bad memories. That's not only respecting my time, as to not get me involved in something that's really gonna cause me to really kind of dive into, but it's also respecting me as a person and understanding what I've been through. And all of that kind of encapsulates what a confidant is. A confidant knows that about you. Your confidant is that one that calls you unexpectedly because you fell on their heart. Um, that confidant is always going to look out for you, even when there's nothing to gain for them. And that is the biggest divide between the three. A confidant is going to be there with you even when there's nothing to gain from being with you. Your comrade and your constituent gotta be a benefit to them.
So right there, just that alone, just that alone, when it comes to confidence, how it's gonna be a short number of confidence
Oh,
because of one of the reasons, like you just said, because it doesn't benefit them.
yeah,
So anything that doesn't benefit you, then you can keep it moving.
yeah. And they're few and far between, man. It's so what's so crazy is a lot of times your confidant is not family.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not. A lot of times it's them people that have been in your shoes and know what it's like, or they've had enough traumatic experiences to know, hey, I got to be that for them because in some cases they never had it for them. And so um, it's very important, man, that we understand the difference between the three because it's easy to get the three confused. It's super easy to get the three confused because most people think comrades. Oh, yeah, that's a buddy. That's
Well,
my
you got to
buddy
look at it though. For years, I mean, not years, but generations. Back in London and stuff, British and stuff, it was always comrade. Hey, comrade, how you doing?
because they
Hey,
had a common goal.
so I'm like, whoa. Now it's like, see these different terminologies and how we use different words.
Hmm.
It's like you have like we'll say, okay, cheers, mate.
Hmm.
You know, and then out here, it's like, what's up?
Yeah,
So
and my experience with dealing people in foreign countries, you are more of a comrade than anything. Um, and that's because either the situation of what you're doing at the time, if you're out drinking, out partying, you're a comrade. We're out here just to have a good time. Once we step outside this bar or club, you don't. I
you go
don't know
your
you. I
way,
don't know you like that.
you go your way, I go my
And
way.
I think about. I always use a lot of analogies with things that I have experience with. The military, sports, um, uh, growing up in the church. Um, and so when I think of comrades, I think of military. We have a lot of comrades abroad, not so much now with our current leadership because he's destroying those relationships. But we have typically had comrades, other countries, other countries' military. Those are our comrades because when it comes to doing military stuff, we have that one commonality. We have that one goal.
Right.
Now, our political beliefs aren't aligned. Our religious beliefs aren't aligned. Our family values aren't aligned. But we're both military and we have the same protocol and the same goal. So that makes us comrades. That does not make us friends. It does not make us family. That makes us comrades. And so that's why I felt like it was so important that we understand, and even with the word friendship, we use that word so loosely. We call everybody our friends. And the crazy thing, I mean, the I think everybody understands what a friend is, but when you use that word so loosely, you give people a false sense of security.
But is it friends or is it associates?
That's where we need to be start. We need to start being more um, mindful of the terminology we use in reference to people. I have a lot of people that I associate with. I I have 5,000 phone numbers in my phone. 5,000.
Wow.
Because they're in my phone, does that make them my friend? Oh, I have the majority of that, 95% of that is associates. I know a lot of people don't like being referenced as an associate, but unless you're adding value to someone's life, unless you are a confidant in someone's life, you are an associate.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what 5,000 people in your phone look like. So
That is
I don't
years.
know.
That's years of shaking hands, sitting down in meetings, and
Oh
and
man.
and whatever else. Um, I whenever I see that number in my phone, I'm really shocked because I've literally gone through my phone and I've done the weeding out to say, okay, any dub contacts, any contacts where I put a first name and a last name, and sometimes I'll forget and I'll go in and put a first name. I put all of them associations in and had my phone like weed them out, and I'm still at like 4,900. And so it nobody needs that many contacts in your phone because it's that's a lot. That's a lot. And sometimes I forget. Like I'll actually see somebody out. Like, hey man, we should exchange number. I go to put their number. Oh man, I already got your number in my phone. Um, but as long as we understand that, like, I'm not sitting here saying I have 5,000 friends. I have I have constituents and I have comrades.
Right.
I probably have 5 confidants. And you and if you look at that number in comparison to the number of phone numbers I have in my phone, that's 5,000 numbers, and I'm saying I have 5 confidants, and that's not the extent of who all I know.
Right. 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 Right.
You know, I've lived in 30 states. I've including Puerto Rico. I've traveled all over the world, and so that's not encompassing all of that. We're just talking about 5 confidants in comparison to 5,000 phone numbers.
Wow.
So if you probably quadruple that number of people that I've come in contact with, people that I have had extensive conversations with, it's about 5 confidants.
So everybody that Tim has
I know
their
you.
number and he has 5 confidants, you are one of those five. So
I wouldn't say that.
yeah.
I wouldn't say that. What's up, Addie?
So basically, they like everybody, all 5,000 of them be like, okay, I'm one of the five.
Addie, how many confidants would you say you have? And I don't know if you came in earlier, but we were discussing the difference between confidants, comrades, and constituents. Constituents are the ones that you have a common belief in something or a common goal. Comrades are the ones that they don't care what it is. We got a common enemy, so let's join forces, even if that means after we eliminate the target, the target may be put on your back by your comrade. Constituents can care less what your ultimate goal is. Right now, we have a common goal. I don't care who it benefits on your behalf, but on my behalf, I know what benefits. And once we have reached this goal, once we have put you in office, once we have passed these policies and procedures, I may be coming out after your job next. That's what a constituent is. Confidant are the people that have your back regardless of what's going on, and typically those are the ones that are with you even knowing that there's no benefit of it. And not saying no benefit of it, they're not doing it for a benefit, in other words. Um, Jeremy, are you still on here? How many confidants would you say you have? Addie, I want to know how many confidants you have. Miss Jenkins, I want to know how many confidants you have.
And that's the thing, though. We don't really, well, a lot of us don't really see it as that. We don't really see as all the different of the three. Well, we didn't really look at it that way. And what we did was we'll say, well, that's my associate, so but then but that's my friend. But then we like, oh, that's my friend, but then that's my close friend.
It's funny because my mind was going there. People don't really break them down into confidants, comrades, and constituents. They break them down into levels of friendships. That's my good friend. That's my close friend. That's my ride or die friend. You can't have that many. That's not a friend. That's an associate.
Yeah.
And if you want to put a different label on it, it's either a comrade or a confidant or a constituent. And I know that sounds a little like bougie and sophisticated, but if you want to make them feel special, call them that. Associate just sounds so standoffish. You're my associate, almost like you work for me. But you have to really start respecting your time and space, and understanding the category that people fit into your life. Um, a comrade in your life may be a confidant in somebody else's life.
Very good.
Yeah. A constituent in my life may be a comrade in your life. So that's why it's so important to understand the difference between the two and actually recognize the characteristics of of a comrade, a constituent, and a confidant. Because if you don't recognize the characteristics of it, it can appear to be the same thing. Same thing. And that's the thing is, you can't look at somebody else's confidant and think you can have them as your confidant. They don't owe you anything. You don't know the history between those two. So by you confiding in somebody that somebody else confides in, could really the blowback on that could be catastrophic for you.
But then at the same time, you don't really. It's just like you would. Okay, you don't really know how that is going to be because it's like if you're seeing this person as a confidant, okay, or a comrade, but the thing is that like you said, so they have this other person here whose comrade is their confidant, whose confidant is yours, but then that's their comrade. So it's like it can, I don't know, it can be all twisted up.
Your confidant is a loyal person to you. Like, and they're good-hearted people. I don't want anybody to misunderstand that I'm saying that your confidant he's only gonna be truthful to you. He gonna lie to everybody else. No, that's not it. Typically, your confidant is a good-natured person, but they cling to certain people that they've either been through or been drawn to as a confidant. Um, Typically, they won't pick a side, and if you don't want them to pick a side, because their loyalty is going to be with you. They're going to be honest and upfront with everybody else who they're not a confidant with, but they're gonna show the most loyalty to you. So That's that's the difference.
So your confidant is loyal to you. That same confidant is loyal to somebody else, but that somebody else has beef with you.
It's funny you said that. I had this conversation the other day. You finish your point? So the one thing that I always tell people, my relationship with somebody is my relationship with them. Because I have a bad relationship with somebody, I don't expect you to have a bad relationship with them based on and this is based it's a situational thing. Every situation is going to be different. But if you're a friend of mine and it's just been like just butting head over some just basic stuff like we can't agree on you know certain things, the goat debate,
Okay.
like
Mhm.
some like we don't agree on the goat debate.
Mm.
I'm not asking you who doesn't play sports or understand basketball. I'm not asking you, okay, you got to pick my goat over his goat. That's We're not going to do that. But what comes in and makes it challenging is when moral things are involved, when my livelihood is involved, when my character is involved, and you befriend someone that is bashing my character or trying to destroy my character, um, causing harm to me or my family.
Okay.
That's when you don't even want people to pick a side because at that point, morally, you should go with what's right. And I'm not gonna have you pick a side. If you know somebody is bashing my character, uh, causing me harm, that's a no brainer for me. I know if I was the person that was in the middle of that, I'm like, I don't mess with you. Because this is the thing is, when you see somebody doing that to somebody else, it's a matter of time before it's you.
True.
So I'm not saying, hey, we need to go ride on that person or we need to go see that person. I just need to understand what kind of person you are. Because if you're still friends with them, knowing what they did to me, I can't mess with you. And I posted about this. Like I can't if you are dealing and you are befriending or even associate with someone that is sitting out here trying to destroy lives, that's not a that's that's morally wrong in any book. I don't care who it is you serve. That's morally wrong.
So regardless of, because the thing is that we can have we have we have different types of friends, right? But then they, when you say you don't want them to pick any sides. But what my thing is this: if that person is talking about you and your confidant is like in the middle of it and everything, then I would think that the confidant will be more like, okay, hold on, wait a minute, don't talk to me, don't talk about me like that, don't say that, nope, 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 don't do that, stuff like that, you know. Um, but if it's to a point that he can't like contain it or do anything like that, then like, well, that's a decision that they're gonna have to make out.
So I'm a confidant and I've been in that situation a million times. Um, and I'm quick to be like, look, don't talk about that person to me. If you got something to say about that person, go to them. I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Don't put me in the middle of it. But mentally, I'm making a mental note. I'm like, if you can do that to them and you're doing it when they're not around, what are you saying about me when I'm not around? Because I don't think I'm better than who it is you're talking about.
Right. Exactly.
So I already know what your character is like now. I don't need to run back and tell them. I'm gonna bring up a situation. You tell me how to handle it. This is probably one of the stickiest situations. You are friends with two people. You see something happen out and about. Do you run back and tell that person?
Uh,
The other person. You're friends with these two people. You're hanging out with this person. You see something that just really unsettling for you that happened, but it has something to do with the other person. Do you run back and tell the person what you saw?
ooh,
Bro,
man. Well, I will give that person, not the one you gotta go tell, but I will give the one who it happened to. I will give that person the opportunity to tell that other person. So if that doesn't happen, then I'll rather.
okay, what if that person that did that thing, what if they don't have the same relationship that you have with that other person? They may not feel like I ain't got to tell them nothing. I ain't friends with them like that. You are. Floyd is like, run, tell that. So that's a catch 22 for a lot of people, man, because that's a difficult situation to be put in. Like, do I run and I tell what I just saw? And I'm even be even more specific. You are between two people that you know. They're not necessarily friends. Um, and you see that particular person messing with someone else's, that other person's wife or girlfriend. Do you run and tell that other person that your girlfriend or your wife is cheating? Bro, they're not. I just set it up. They have no loyalty to each other.
Okay.
The only commonality they have is you in the middle.
Well, one thing about it, I feel like I shouldn't like get in the middle of anything, but if it's going to, if it's like that point, then I will have to do that. Sorry, but I will have to.
I agree with you. I agree with you because the blowback on it is if that person that you're friends with find out that you knew and you didn't say anything to them,
Hmm?
then you kind of fall in that same realm of the person that actually did it. But here's the catch 22. What if they already know that their wives or their girlfriends cheat on them and they don't really want people to know? They're so hung up in this relationship that they're willing to allow themselves to go through something like this knowing what's going on. And that's as as uncommon as people think that might be, that's actually very common. There's people that know and just don't want to know. They want to continue to live the life because it's comfortable for them.
Yeah,
But and I say that to say now you become the bad guy.
well, not necessarily.
In some situations, you can
Well,
become the bad guy.
you become that guy that informed your person, your friend, you informed them, even though they don't really care about it, but you informed them. So basically, that friend will automatically know that you do have their back, regardless of if they for them
And
or not.
that's the correct answer because regardless of what the emotions are at the time that you tell them that, if they know but they want to be in denial, they are going to be upset with you at that time. But eventually, they're gonna thank you. They're gonna thank you. And it's something about lying to yourself And when that lie becomes open and somebody else knows about it, now you're convicted. Now you have to face it. And so basically what you did is you just made them face something they've probably been ignoring for a long time. And so but I bring up those situations because those are constant situations that if you are a confidant, you're going to be in those situations. And it can be uncomfortable, but if you're a confidant, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Because like I'm gonna tell you things that you don't want to hear, that falls in line with it. That falls in line with it. Man, look, another kind of a deep conversation we've had today on Shoes Off Talk, man. These conversations, they it it really isn't anything scripted because we don't really write things down. It's as life happens and
Right.
as we see it, and God puts a lot on our heart that we need to bring up. And and every time I bring up a topic, or every time Floyd brings up a topic, I'm sure he gets it to where people message him be like, "Man, I needed to hear that," or "I was going through that," or I didn't have an understanding of that."
You know, just to be transparent, um, the topic we did, coping mechanism.
Hmm.
Um, I I was like, out of all the shows that we've done that's been up there and everything, that one had the most traction. What I mean by that, it had like comments, it had like
Yeah, it was
stuff like
very
that
interactive.
and all that, and I was like, oh my god, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
and it has you understand like how, not how stuff goes viral, but just things going viral. It's like you get these social media people, and I don't know what it's like because I'm a user of social media, but I'm not like that. I'm not proficient with social media. But I hear it all the time when something goes viral and that person, even with my son, when my son did that, after his daughter's graduation, it went viral. It's up to millions of views. Like, it went viral. He didn't think sitting in his car talking about how proud he was of his daughter that it would go viral, that it would land him on Jennifer Hudson's show, on the Good Morning show, and all of these things. You don't. So that's why like when God puts on something on you, do it. Do it. It may not make sense to you,
yeah,
but there's a reason for it. And so it's funny because you can scroll through, you can pick out what you think might be the topic that's just gonna blow up, and it's gonna be the one that you least expected.
exactly.
That you
Yep.
least expect. And what's crazy is we put that show off a week.
Yeah,
We were supposed to do it the week prior, and we put it off. And who knows, if we hadn't have listened and we decided to go against and do that show at the time, probably wouldn't have got the same traction. Same topic,
yeah,
but wouldn't have got the same traction. Some people needed to hear that at the time that they heard
exactly.
it.
Put it
So,
right.
man, look, um, we gonna keep this thing rolling, man. We solicit the prayers of everyone. We solicit your blessings, uh, because when we talk about purpose, this is something me and Floyd have talked about, and we go back. Me and Floyd go back probably 6 years, 5 or 6 years in doing this, if not
Yeah,
longer.
yeah,
So this isn't something that we are new to. Um, but it's kind of a different format for us and how we've gone about doing it. Everything was really so like in the past, like this, and now it's more of like we're going in the spirit. We're allowing ourselves to be led instead of feeling like we need to set the stage for everything. And that's why I tell them, look, we're not coming in with a bunch of scripts. I don't want a bunch of stuff written down. We're gonna have these conversations from our heart,
hmm,
from our spirit. Um, because I feel like when you start writing stuff down, you feel like you need to stick to a script. And doing that, it doesn't allow the emotions to come across in your conversation. it doesn't allow the realness to come across in your conversations. And that's
Right.
what I love about what we do. Um, but we couldn't do it without you guys. And we appreciate you guys tuning in to our shows. Um, we ask for your continued support, and I always ask for the criticism, whether good or bad, because that's the only way we're going to improve and take this thing where we are planning to take it. And so we thank you guys for tuning in today, taking time out of your schedule on the weekend to listen and watch Shoes Off Talk. Um, Going over to YouTube, keep telling you every time we come on here because it's not about the numbers, it's more about what we have access to when we hit a certain number. And so go over, subscribe on YouTube at Shoes Off Talk. We appreciate you guys giving us your time, everybody that's on social media that's interacting. Um, we really appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. And so you guys have a blessed day, and how we end all shows.
Love,
Love,
peace,
peace, and
and soul.
soul.